Hello guys, welcome back to the kitchen. Today for dinner we are going to try making a rabbit pot pie, or so I'm hoping. This is just going to be something that is kind of thrown together with stuff that we have that needs to get used up. We are going to use my grandma's pie crust recipe, and I am going to use our food processor to put that together, bring that together. I've got some carrots from the garden that need to get used up, green beans from the garden that need to get used up. As you can see, what was vacuum sealed still looks much nicer than what was just thrown in a Ziploc bag. So, we are going to get, I want these to be soft. I don't want to be biting into a raw green bean. So, I think I'm going to put a little bit of water in our Dutch oven and throw these and the carrots in there and get these steaming so that they're nice and soft. Alright, and then because Grandma's pie crust always called for lard, we are going to measure out 2/3 cup of lard. So now this is lard that we have rendered down. This is from last year. So this is not the stuff we made together. This is stuff from last year. And I always remember when my mom and my grandma would measure out lard, they would kind of compact it into the cup. So that's what we're going to do here. And you want to work with cool or cold lard so that it comes together a little bit nicer. As you can see, it gets pretty soft with even just the heat of your hands pretty quick. So typically this recipe would create a top and a bottom 9-inch pie, but I am hoping to cook this in my big, deep cast iron, so we might need the whole thing for just the bottom. And if that's the case, maybe we should double it real quick. So you don't need a food processor. You can just use, my mom and my grandma always just used a butter knife. You could use a pastry cutter. You could use, I've used my KitchenAid actually before, just because I never really enjoyed the process of cutting the flour into the lard. Alright, so this is pretty empty. I'm going to have to go and get another jar. Alright, now this one is frozen. It is out of the freezer, not out of the refrigerator. So this one might be a little harder to get. If you wanted to, you could use, you don't have to use all lard. I have definitely used all lard or 50-50 with lard and butter if you wanted to. And based on how hard this is to get out of here, we might just use the last third of a cup might just have to be butter. Alright, and the last 1/3 cup we will make butter. I wish this was out of the fridge, but that's okay. I'm gonna get it. And because we are not weighing our flour, we are going to make sure we spoon this and level this. That's why I used my flat pan, my flat scoop, instead of my pretty one. Cups. This will make 3 cups. And our last cup here. if I've ever done a double recipe in this before, so we are gonna see how this goes. You can see how it's kind of sticking to the sides now. And that is kind of what we're looking for. If you were cutting this into, you were cutting your flour into your lard with like a butter knife, you would be looking for little clumps about the size of peas. But this is kind of feeling like kinetic sand. You can kind of see how it sticks together. And so this is kind of what I'm looking for. And now when I have noticed when I use lard, my pie crusts are just so soft. Alright. So soft, super pliable. It's, before we moved out here, I used to use shortening or shortening mixed with butter instead of our lard. And the difference is, you wouldn't think the difference would be that drastic, but it is quite different. All right, we need 2 teaspoons of salt, and then we're gonna get some cold water. There we go. It's trying. This is just a really big batch. I've never made a double batch in here before, so I think it's kind of struggling just a little bit. You can already see it's kind of getting nice and soft and pliable. And we will stick this in the fridge so that it gets cool enough that it can be worked with a little easier. I'm going kind of slow because I have cut myself on this blade before. So usually this will come into a really great big ball in here and it's really easy to take out. But like I said, I've never used the food processor for a double batch before, and I think it might have been just a little too much. It's really not that big of a bowl. All right, and we're gonna work that by hand instead of taking out our motor on this food processor. This is really nice to have, but it was far too expensive for me to want to buy another one. I always hate cleaning counters after I work with pie dough because it just kind of makes a mess. I would rather have a mess and be feeding my family home-cooked meals than stuff from the store and have a clean kitchen. A mess is okay. Alright, so I'm going to get this into a bowl, and we are going to let this cool off in the fridge for a little bit. Alright, and I do want to make sure we get some onion in here. So, I'm going to get this guy chopped up. We're going to put this aside for future broth use. That'll probably be enough. I'm just going to chop this up so I don't have to chop onions up later this week. Okay, now in the same pot, I think we are going to saute our onions just because I think it gives them a better flavor. I'm going to throw some butter in there. And I think we might throw a clove of garlic or 2 in there as well. This is the first year that I have ever tried growing my own garlic, so I am kind of excited about that. Hopefully next year we'll have garlic that we can use that was from our own garden. We are also starting significantly more onions this year as well. And we're going to do probably about the same number of tomatoes that we did last year. a few more peppers, a couple different varieties of peppers. I wanted more sweet peppers this year and not quite so many hot ones because I am not a spicy person. And we have learned that we really enjoy the convenience of having the peppers. What I actually did was I would pick them, bring them in, wash them, and then dice them and seal them with the vacuum sealer. And I have really enjoyed having those in the freezer for when I need them or when I want them. And then I don't have to buy them from the store, and I don't have to sit here and cut them every time I want onions either. So, and I do not have any fresh celery as usual, it seems like, so we're going to throw some celery that was frozen in here as well. And now for the rabbit. We do have some stock in the bottom of this bowl that I'm hoping to use to make the gravy for our pot pie. Alright, now this is one of the rabbits that we raised here. And we just processed him the end of last week. So this might be one of those things I put the apron on so that I don't get my clothes all full of grease that I can't get out. And see how thick that drippings that came off that rabbit were. That should be wonderful. And a little bit of a mess. Making messes is my specialty. Alright, and let's see if we can get this guy picked clean here. And whatever we can't get off of this rabbit, we are going to turn this rabbit into bone broth anyways. So I am not too concerned if we can't get him completely clean. We have come to find that we really enjoy rabbit. It's kind of like chicken. It's a little gamier than chicken, but it takes on the flavor of whatever you're cooking. So I'm going to set these bones aside for broth. We are going to cut this up as fast as we can and get this together so that we can get this sucker cooking. And you don't have to make this with rabbit. You could make this with chicken. I have definitely made it with chicken before. Or turkey, or probably just about anything you have. I just happen to have rabbit that needs to be used, and so we are going to use rabbit today. Our rabbit cut up. Now we are going to work on some gravy. Bring this back up to temperature again. I think I'm going to leave this stuff right in here. I think that'll be fine. I might need to get some more chicken broth. I might have to add some chicken broth to this. We'll see. These are our drippings from our rabbit yesterday. As you can see, they are quite gelatinous. So that is a good thing. But we're going to see what we get out of this. And we are going to add some cornstarch, some milk, and we're going to start bringing this all together here. When I make a gravy, what Grandma always taught us was put some milk in your cup, and then you take your cornstarch, and you put your cornstarch in your cold milk. I don't really measure this. Again, I'm not really a measurement type person, so. And then you mix this up in here. And then we'll add this to our gravy, and this will be what thickens our gravy. We're going to add some milk to this and see how it ends up looking to start. And then we're going to take our thickening agent and dump that in there as well. Alright, and we'll let that get warm, and as it starts to get warm, that will start to form a nice gravy. And we're going to add some pepper. And some salt. And while this cooks down, we are going to do some of our dishes and make room on our counter so that we can roll up our pie crust. Will be done already. I think I might put this in the oven and get this a little pre-baked before we put all of our filling in it. So our gravy got good and thick. We are going to turn this back on again. And we are going to add some of our other ingredients and see if we need to add anything to thin it out a little bit. So this is where pie weights would have come in handy, because now we've got a little bit of bubblage, but that's okay. It'll be alright. Have it, our rabbit pot pie. You can put the recipe for the crust in the description below in case you would like to see that, but I really don't have a recipe for the pot pie. We just kind of threw stuff together. Thanks so much for hanging out with us in the kitchen today as we made dinner, and we hope to catch you next time.